What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Family Scuba. Today I'm going to be talking about the Yankee Clipper Reef shore dive that I did a few weeks ago in South Florida. Those are the coordinates for the parking. When we were there, there was an event going on, so we had to park a little bit north. There is a dive shop within walking distance of the beach if you need to rent any weights or any other gear you may have forgotten. Um, This is where I went in. It's about a 5 to 7 minute walk from where I was parked. So carrying gear was not terrible, but wasn't the best. There is parking right along the beach, but like I said, there was an event going on, some sort of NHL thing. I'm not a big sports guy, and they were taking up the entire, uh, all of the parking spaces all along the beach where you see that star, which is where I had planned on going diving. In any case, those boxes were the areas of the reef, and this little guy here was a giant manatee that I almost ran into as I was getting in the water. This is only about 5 feet, and had I gone in about 10 seconds earlier, I probably would have run right into him. I did try catching up a little bit, but even at a very leisurely pace, he was still out swimming me quite a bit. So I gave up. He was also going in the opposite direction of where I planned on going, so I went ahead and turned the other way. So again, we're at Yankee Clipper Reef. How I found this place was by Googling best shore dive locations in South Florida, and this was the #1 place from the website that I found. Um, what is the website? I don't know. Ocean Wide Explorers. So I took their word for it, and I went ahead and planned a day to go out there with my wife. She loves the beach, I love the water, so this was a perfect compromise for the both of us. I didn't dive like I normally do here. In other words, I wanted to try out doing a oxygen rebreather dive. So I'm not carrying any dill or any bailout, as this dive was going to be between 10 and 20 feet max. So you'll see later on in the video, I took some footage of myself and my setup. It's very clean, very easy to transport from the car to the beach, and not much to be left behind because it's all contained. So very easy to do, very cool dive, a lot of stuff to see. This, what you see now, is kind of the very beginning of the reef, and that goes on for a long way until you start to run into a lot more marine life like this. These gray angelfish, I believe they are. It seemed like every time I stopped moving and just kind of sat there, which I did multiple times, because I heard a boat nearby, or I just kind of wanted to take in the sights. But every time I stopped, it seemed like they just appeared out of nowhere and started swarming me. I don't know if they were curious or if they thought I might have had food, who knows. But again, a lot of this type of topography for a while, until you get to the main part of the reef. But as you can see, there's still quite a bit of marine life here as well. If you haven't been to South Florida, there's surprisingly quite a bit of shore diving that you can do there that's actually pretty good. I do, again, highly recommend Yankee Clipper Reef. It was the #1 on this list, for good reason, and you'll see in the video shortly. It is classified as an advanced dive, though, due to the long swim out. It's about 800 feet, but you do you do see this type of bottom coral starting to take hold and stuff for quite a bit, but the really cool stuff is about 800 feet out. Um, so be prepared for that. Here I am, like I said, in my rebreather, minus the side mount tanks. It just consists of the wing, canisters, and an oxygen bottle on my butt plate. But it is kind of hanging off the right side, or kind of floating up on the right side due to the nature of those aluminum tanks. I gotta figure out a way to pull them down when I do this type of diving. In any case, besides this location, there is also Lauderdale by the sea. That is a really big shore dive as well. Huge reef to go out and look at stuff. I've been there about 3 or 4 times. There is a pier that's no longer used. It used to be used for fishing. A lot of people who fish would go out there, but it's closed now. And there are a ton of huge fish down there. Lots of schools of fish as well. I've seen some really big tarpon, a few fairly large barracuda, and just tons and tons of small fish. I'm coming up on my first turtle I saw on this dive here. Pretty cool. After seeing the manatee, I thought that was going to be the highlight of the dive, but I saw quite a bit of really cool marine life on this dive. Super happy about deciding to come here. Again, Lauderdale by the sea, that area is really cool. The pier is really cool. If I hadn't mentioned, I don't think I did, it is recommended, and I believe state law, that you have to have a dive flag. I did not on this dive, but don't do what I do. Follow the rules. You don't want to get snagged by a fishing lure, or worse, get hit by a boat. On this dive, I went in the shore and came out on the shore, so I wasn't too worried about boats. In any case, there is also Staghorn Fields. I have not been there, but it is supposed to be a really cool spot. Vista Park Reef is also supposed to be pretty good. And not listed on here is a couple other spots I've been to, like the Blue Heron Bridge, also known as the Phil Foster Park. That is really cool. Oh, there's a cool jellyfish I found. Didn't have tentacles, so I wasn't worried about it, and I didn't touch it. Yeah, those are just some of the spots. If you Google, best shore dives in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, South Florida, you're gonna run into a lot of the same recommendations, because they are all really cool spots, and all the different websites recommend those locations. So definitely check them out. Make a day of it. If you're diving open circuit, bring a couple tanks and spend probably a couple, 2-3 hours in there. Oh, there's a flounder. I was just sitting there filming just how nice and clear and blue the water was, and I looked down and this flounder was just sitting there. It's probably about, I'd say about a foot long or so. Pretty cool. I'm surprised he didn't move. I was literally pretty much right on top of him. Super cool. I'd never seen one of those before. Not in person anyway. So a lot of this coral still, a lot of the soft stuff, you see it swaying back and forth. There was a lot of surge. I think that's what it's called. There was a caution surge, a surge cautionary flag up at the beach, but I didn't have any problems or any issues. This thing is actually some sort of coral formation. I thought it was a toilet. That's why I swam right to it. It was not. In any case, I don't know how far out I got, to be honest. If you remember, or if you paused it on that map with the red arrow that went like southeast and then doubled back kind of northwest towards where I had come out or gone in. I was just kind of swimming in a general direction and ended up in some part of the reef. That line was just an estimate. There's the second turtle. That may have been the first turtle that I ran into again. It may have circled around me or something. I don't know. It seemed like a lot of the marine life out here was pretty curious about what I was doing. In any case, you see there the crystal clear water. It was probably about 15 feet right there. It wasn't very deep at all. Again, I was just using my rebreather as an oxygen rebreather. If I had an issue or I needed to get out of Dodge, I could just swim up in about 2 seconds. The downside to this was it was kind of an impromptu thing. I didn't have it totally set up to dive this way, but fortunately it was I was weighted pretty close to what I needed to be, and I only ended up needing the counter lung for buoyancy changes anyway. Here's a fish that kind of circled me a little bit and seemed very curious. You know, like stop and then go red light, green light, red light, green light. He got as close as he felt comfortable and then swam off. I realized I had nothing for him. But it was kind of cool to see anyway, just how curious they were. That's a cool fish. I knew the name of that fish, now I can't remember what it was called. Don't remember. I saw like 1 or 2 of those down here. This was kind of in between that first section and when I finally hit what I believe is the main reef section. It's a lot of sand, and I ran into a few of these what appear to be like cables, almost like really big heavy coaxial cables. Some of them seem to go off out into the abyss, and some of them were just seemed like maybe they were old because they were just sticking out of the sand. It was kind of weird. I know most internet. Oh, that shell was really cool. I wanted to turn it over, but I didn't want to touch it in case it was alive. There's those other cables. I know most internet is, you know, it's not satellite like I think most people believe it is. It all, I think 90 or 85% of it still runs through cables, even from continent to continent. I don't know if this is what these were. I have no idea. Maybe they're just old lines, especially these ones that were all bunched up. Kind of didn't go anywhere. There's those gray angelfish again. I'm telling you, every time I stopped, they just came towards me. They were super, super curious and really, really big. It's definitely a really healthy reef system. So you can see they were getting really, really close to me. The camera's set at the wide view, and it really doesn't do this justice, because those things are pretty much coming up and looking at me, staring right into my face. That guy pretty much buzzed my ear. Really, really cool fish. And then I saw some squid somewhere around here. I'm not sure if it's here yet. Just more fish. This reef is actually so nice. There's so much to see here that I actually saw a few like anchor lines, like old anchor lines that had sunk down, just kind of wrapped around a big piece of hard coral. I wonder if they just anchor to the sand now, because I did see a few boats anchored to the sand a couple times while I was on the shore. This is what I believe is the beginning of the main section, or main part of the reef, but I'm not sure. It's gotta be, because this was totally different from where I first started out, because I was in about 10 feet here, I think, and that's because I had to go over all of that hard coral. Whereas I was probably in like 15, 16 feet of water the whole way here. I believe it drops off again. So I thought I read there was a ledge, but I'm not really sure what it was referring to. Again, I started way north and then kind of swam southeast and just ran into what I ran into. Speaking of that, regardless of where you enter the water, if you have the ability to save your location, like if you're brave enough to take your phone with you. I know some of these phones are waterproof to like 30 feet or something. Mine is supposed to be, but I still don't let it get wet. But I did have my Garmin watch, and I saved the location. That's how I had the GPS coordinates for where I went in, because I have found that when you go to exit the water, you could be within like 50 feet of where you went in, and those damn buildings and that sand and all of those umbrellas and beach chairs, they all look the same when you're looking in from the water. The building that I was going to use for secondary navigation when I came out was, I believe, the Marriott. It was like the tallest building in the center, if I remember correctly. The problem is that when I came out of the water, I was viewing the building in such a way that I couldn't read the letters that were at the north side of the building. So that did me no good, and all the buildings looked pretty identical. The only thing that I could make out was, again, there was that NHL event there, and they had fenced off all of the parking and the area south of there, so I could see like all the banners and stuff. But it was still nice to be able to just hit my save locations on my Garmin watch and see that I was only like 300 feet away from where I had gone in. So instead of getting out and walking the distance, it made it easier to decide that it was just better to swim it instead. So I tucked back down in about 6 feet of water and just skimmed the bottom for about 5-10 minutes. And then came out pretty much right where I had gone in. In any case, I'm still in I think the main part. I'm pretty sure I'm probably heading back by now. This is only a 25-minute or so video, but I was in the water for probably almost an hour and 50 minutes, I want to say. I was shooting for between an hour and a half and 2 hours, and I try to hit that sweet spot of about an hour and 45, and I think I came out with like an hour and 47 or something like that. I must be working my way just north from the furthest point. Oh, there's that fish again. That one looks bigger though. Working my way north. I went out for about 40 minutes. Went north for about 40-ish minutes. And swam straight west. That seemed to work out pretty well. It's kind of how we were taught in our open water class to time our fin kicks and so on. I know I swim at a pretty constant speed when I'm by myself, so I just went out 40 minutes, went up 40 minutes, and then came in. That's about right. Yeah, that's like an hour and 20, and then another 30, kind of working my way out. So there's one of those ropes I was talking about. That definitely looks like an anchor line that was tied to that hard coral. And then it probably lost its buoy and sunk down and just kind of wound its way around that piece there. There's I believe that's a porcupine fish. Those things are supposed to be super, super poisonous, which meant to look this up. If they're super poisonous and nothing eats them, why aren't there way more of them? I don't know. That fish is super cool. I wish I could remember what it was called. There's me again. Got rid of some of that water and my mask. I don't normally get that much water in it, but I think I was making a lot of faces at all of the fish that kept swimming up to me. That bottle I found when I was in the main section of the reef, and I was going to take it with me, but I looked inside and it looked like there was a whole bunch of stuff already in there. So it might be somebody's home and I left it. You see my oxygen tank in the back there, loading up. Like I said, surprisingly, I did not need to add a whole lot of gas to the loop to stay neutral. It seemed to even itself out pretty well. Oh, I couldn't remember why I was filming that. There was like a slug moving around there, around that really hard piece of coral, which was really cool. So here I already, I think popped out. Is that shallow? Yeah, I think I had already popped my head out and realized I was about 300 feet. I think the Garmin said I was about 370 or 340 something feet south of where I needed to be. So I ducked back down and kept on going. Actually, no, I think that's about 15 feet of water. Yeah, it's gotta be. I think what I'm gonna do is put a piece of bungee on that attachment, um, on that bottom of that tank with a bolt snap, and then attach it to my side hit D-rings to keep it from floating up like that. But we'll see. As you can see, the loop hoses aren't like super floaty, which means the loop volume could be probably a little bit lower there, but worked out pretty well. There's another stingray. I'm pretty sure this is like the second or third stingray I saw on that dive. A little guy, probably at the base of the body, side to side. It was probably only like 8 inches or so. It was pretty small, probably about as big as like my hand with my fingers spread out. Probably only about 9 or so, 12 inches long. In any case, that's the dive. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check this place out, I'll put some links in the description. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.